Before the Wood Whisperer, before YouTube, before I knew what the heck I was doing in the shop, I built a small country bookcase for my mother-in-law. More than 20 years later, it's back in the shop for some repairs. So today we're going to take a close look at this thing, see what I got right, what I got wrong, and what we need to fix. But before I start roasting my own project from the past, let's jump back to 2004 when a young Mark and Nicole were discussing this piece of furniture and their possible futures.
Wow, hon, this turned out really nice. You're getting pretty good at this woodworking thing.
Oh, thanks. Well, it's just a hobby. You know, I'm a scientist and I already have a real career.
Good, because I'd like to have kids someday, and I hear woodworkers don't make a lot of money.
If I ever did this for a living, I'd probably teach. You know, I love teaching.
But how would you survive? Making woodworking videos online and selling out to the highest bidder?
The Wood Whisperer is sponsored by Skeeter's Fish Tacos, the best fish tacos in Missouri.
Well, this thing needs a few repairs, but honestly, I'm pretty happy about how it's held up. Something I built over 20 years ago. It's probably my third project I ever made. And since then, it moved from Southern California to Missouri, then to Phoenix, and then back to Missouri. That's a lot of miles for one bookcase. And like most new woodworkers, I built my earliest projects from plans. Now this one, I still have the PDF. It looks like it was from Country Home Magazine. And looking at the plans now, I can see that beginner me took quite a few liberties and didn't quite follow the instructions. Now some of those changes work, but some of them are the reason we're here. A big juicy example is the fact that this plan called for plywood and I used solid stock. So we'll see if that one bites. So we'll see if that one bites me in the butt. But for now, let's give this thing a checkup from the neck up. All right, so let's start out with some positives. I mean, the first thing I see is a finish that is still intact. It looks like whatever protective layer I put on at the time, it was probably a Minwax stain and then a wipe on poly. It's still here. It looks okay. I don't see any major stains or problems or anything we'd need to fix in the finish. Now, remember the plan called for plywood and I used solid stock. In fact, I just used those pre-glued boards that you could buy at the home center. I didn't have the ability to joint and plane everything at the time. And I'm just very happy and impressed at how flat these panels have stayed. So the shelf, the top, the sides, everything is pretty darn flat. At least as flat as we can expect it to be. And certainly our narrower pieces have not really moved much at all. And in spite of the hardware coming off, the drawers actually still work quite well. They're running fairly smooth. This wasn't really a piston fit kind of drawer, but everything for the most part is operational. Now, when I look at the back of the case, this is the back of the drawer compartment, I actually see I made a couple of dados here. I just don't remember exactly where I was with my woodworking, what tooling I had, but I'm kind of impressed to see them and that they've held up pretty well. Made some rabbits on the end too. Now to talk about some of the things I do not love. I can actually feel a substantial glue line here, and my memory is coming back to me as I'm seeing this piece. This is one of the pieces that broke during the initial shipment, and I had to glue back on, so that's why we feel that. Now this is very fun to see. If you are kind of haphazard with your use of a random orbit sander, you can end up with these squirrely little, we usually call them like little pigtail patterns. And this is just being too aggressive or being very uneven with your sander. And some sanders are very unbalanced during use, so you can get them jumping a little bit, especially if your panel is not perfectly flat. So we have a lot of these in this piece, and once you notice them, they will drive you crazy. Nothing I can do about it now. They are in there, and again, unless we refinish this whole thing, those are there to stay. And what I think is really my biggest whiff on this project is this back panel. Now, if you're not familiar, generally speaking, back panels are incredibly important to a piece of casework. They really stiffen the structure, prevent racking, and if you're gonna use solid wood, you have to make sure you account for movement. So usually that's done with a shiplap back, or in this case, I just use some pre-made tongue and groove boards. And the idea is as these panels expand and contract, when you have a tongue sitting in a groove, you have room for movement, but you don't expose gaps. In this way, seasonally, you don't have any issues. So the problem, and what I did wrong, was I didn't follow the instructions. One of the pieces I was supposed to install was a cleat that would have gone on this underside, right on the inside of this rabbet, and it would have given us a surface where we can drive some screws through into that cleat. Instead, what I did is I shortcutted that, and I just kind of put this piece sort of floating up there and brad nailed into our top. And if you think about that structurally, it's just the brad nails going into end grain. That's not very strong to begin with. And there's just really no good anchoring solution here. So this is why the top is kind of lifting off a little bit in some areas. That's something we're going to have to address. But if we had that cleat here and then we had screws, or if we went with the brad nails going in this way, the whole thing would have been so much stronger. So we're definitely going to have to fix that. Now let me show you something. I'm surprised we didn't end up in more trouble because we actually went with solid wood on this drawer box. The grain on the top and bottom pieces is running this way. And when I installed my dividers, I have the grain running this way. So we actually do have a cross grain situation where this panel wants to expand and contract front to back, and then this one wants to expand top to bottom. So these are actually restricting the movement of the top and bottom panel. Thankfully, I don't really see any major problems with that. I do have some separation in the dado joint, but it's still kind of holding itself together. So that one surprised me a bit. And over here, the outside of the drawer box, again, being solid wood and the grain running this way, this panel was glued to this panel. And that's generally a disaster waiting to happen, and we do have a bit of a problem here. You can actually see this piece here, the bottom of the drawer compartment has cracked, right? There really was just nowhere else for it to go, and thankfully though, I mean, it's still kind of sturdy. I don't really see any major movement there, but this crack is not ideal. I just don't think there's a whole lot that we can do about it now. But this piece being glued on here actually caused another problem. We have to look at the side for that. And check this out right here. Got ourselves a nice little stress fracture. Ultimately, when a panel is restricted and it wants to move and it's conflicting with another thing that's attached to it, the pressure has to release somehow, and oftentimes the result is a crack. And interestingly enough, on the other side, we don't have a crack on this side panel, but you can definitely see some separation here. And a lot of times it's just the stress over time where the glue joint will give up. Something has to give. And thankfully the wood didn't crack, but we do have separation here. Again, I'm not too worried about it though, because everything is still fairly sturdy. The whole thing as a whole is holding together. Ultimately, it's not in that bad a shape. And I think when you're doing a project like this, you really have to gauge what the person wants. You know, do they want the thing to be completely perfect, completely refinished? This is a country bookcase. It's meant to have a little bit of a rustic feel and a rustic vibe to it. So if I'm fixing everything and just trying to make it look perfect, I don't know that that makes any sense. There are some things on here I'm just not going to repair because honestly, the repair would just make it look worse. You know, if I filled that crack, at some point it's probably just going to let go again anyway. So it's best to just leave it alone. I'm not going to refinish and sand out dents and things like that because then I'm reapplying finish on the whole thing and that will just make it look a little bit weird. So I am mostly concerned on this particular piece with structural integrity and that this thing is going to survive and can be moved again if it needs to be moved safely, right? Let's do it.
Well, pardon the intrusion, but I gotta let you guys know about our back to school sale in the Wood Whisperer Guild. The more you buy, the more you save. Purchase one course, get 20% off. 2 courses, get 30% off, and 3 or more courses, get 40% off. And as a special bonus, you'll get the Shop Notes collection, which is 10 articles that I've written over the years that I think you're really gonna enjoy. Now, the sale ends September 4th, so don't delay. And if you're looking to learn from some of the best woodworking instructors in the business, check out the Wood Whisperer Guild. All right, let's get back to fixing that bookcase.
So of course these brad nails need to go. Pliers will do the trick, but I like to back it up with a piece of scrap just to prevent unnecessary denting. For the top boards, pulling them through would likely do more harm than good, so I'm just cutting them off. The nubs it leaves behind are actually going to come in handy later. For the back boards, I could just hammer the nails through and pull them out. For the cleat that should have been installed in the first place, I'll cut a piece of pine so that it fits between the 2 sides. Now it's probably a little overkill, but I'm going to sand some of the finish away so that my glue has a better bond. The cleat will be held in with screws and epoxy. Epoxy's a good choice here because even with that sanding, chances are we're not getting down to bare wood, which is what regular wood glue needs in order to bond securely. I'll add some clamps and then drive the screws into the top. Everything's going so well, this repair is going to be a breeze. Oh, and just like that, things are ground to a halt. I noticed that as I was putting these pieces together to double check the width and the alignment, there are a few that are missing. Turns out, they are gone. I don't know where they are. No one let me know ahead of time about this, so I'm gonna run out and pick out some tongue and groove material and see if we can't get it to match. I think I need maybe 2 pieces to make this up. The trick is going to be the fact that this is an aged finish, and I don't even know what the finish is, so we're going to have to figure something out there to make sure that it looks consistent all the way across. Anyway, off to the store.
Thankfully, the tongue and groove pine is easy to come by. My local home store had plenty. Back at the shop, I cut 3 more pieces to length. In order to keep things symmetrical, the last piece needs to be ripped. Alright, so even with a good color match, it's going to be incredibly tricky for these new boards to blend in with the old ones. So the best thing to do is to reset the entire back panel. Then we can get a stain to match as close as possible. I took a long shot and tried some off-the-shelf solutions, but none of them were even close, so I had to dig back into my old bag of tricks. Thinking back to that time in my woodworking, I probably used shellac and dye. So I first test shellac alone, and then start adding drops of color as needed to get the amber and the brown that I need. This experience reminded me of a time when this work was routine for me, and it made me wonder whether woodworkers are moving away from traditional finishes. Hard wax oils seem to have largely replaced shellac, lacquer, and wiping varnish in modern woodworking, at least the kind you see on the internet. I actually wrote a free Substack article that takes a closer look at why this may be happening, what we may be losing, and whether these older finishes still deserve a place in our shops. I'll put a link in the description. All of the backboards receive 2 coats of the shellac and dye mixture. And by the way, as a show of hands, who here enjoys the smell of denatured alcohol? Personally, I love it, but I think it's one of those divisive things like the smell of gasoline, smoke, or your dog's farts. Each board is going to get a single screw in the center, which will allow for movement after it's attached. Now check this out. Those little brad nail nubs, they're going to work perfectly to help hold each board in position. The key to a shiplap back is that each board has some room to move, so I can place each board precisely before pre-drilling into the cleat and then driving the screws. Now as I put this back on, I wonder what I was thinking when I first built this thing. Adding the cleat was not hard, and using screws instead of brad nails adds far more strength and stiffness. But that's how learning the craft works. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. That's why I often tell new woodworkers to spend less time researching and more time building. YouTube can teach you new skills and give you ideas, but it can't replace time in the shop. You have to make the cuts and give yourself the opportunity to mess up. Every mistake teaches you something, and over time those lessons add up to become skill. And 20 years later, you could look back on your early pieces and wonder what the heck you were thinking too. So now we can reattach the hardware. I'm half tempted to replace these because I really don't think it fits the piece at all, but we'll leave it alone for now. I'm also going to wax up the drawers so that they continue to slide nice and smooth for years.
All right, so that's pretty much all we're gonna do to this thing. The drawers work nice and smooth. The top is now secure because the actual side effect of putting the back panel on with that additional cleat was that it helps secure the top. So now I have no problem allowing people to move it by lifting the top. It's much more secure. And ultimately the goal here wasn't to make this thing new, it was to let it continue being old. Now, is this built in a way that I would build it today? Absolutely not. But I'm still thankful for this experience because ultimately this is a piece of furniture that I had to build in order to become the woodworker that I am today. So let's think about that when we think about our earliest pieces and cringe a little bit. They are stepping stones to becoming a better woodworker. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next time.